Good day, peeps. Welcome to Heart Talks. I'm Sheila Burgher. Before we get started on our interview today, I just wanted to say something. I just wanted to remind you why we're doing Heart Talks here. I was gifted this show because I had the opportunity to tell my story on radio, and it opened me up, and it made me feel better to be able to tell my story out loud. I, of course, had started painting my experiences because it was so difficult to talk about it. Once I got on radio and started talking about it, it was healing. It opened me up. Therefore, I wanted to make sure that I pass it forward and allow other people who are awakening to have their chance to tell their story and to help them heal. And my guest today is Reuben Garza. And the way I met him is on Facebook. There was a post, and I don't even know what the post was, but I saw his comment. And what I saw was that he was trying to tell his story, but he was holding back. And that's what we do so much of the time when we have these experiences. We're always holding back, trying to tell it to comfort somebody else's beliefs, or to, not be the shock factor or look crazy or whatever. Okay. And that time has got to be over now. And that's why I want to continue to do Heart Talks and invite guests to come in and tell their story, because I want you to have a safe place to tell it exactly how it is without holding back. So, Rueben, today is your day. Thank you so much for coming on here. It takes a lot of courage, folks, to get up and tell this story. So, thumbs up to you, my friend.
Thanks for having me. Thank you for having me and inviting me to your show. Are we still online here?
And that your stories, I understand that your story kind of started with a near-death experience. Is that right?
Yes. I have a blog that I wind up writing in the process of continuing to evolve as a person. Also, in 2007, or at the end of 2006, I fell into a diabetic coma, and I was not expected to live, and they did brain scans, and they were advising my family members to unplug me, and there was kind of no hope in any of it. And from what they tell me, I was in pretty bad shape. They had to restart my heart, and after I woke up, I didn't know anybody or anything. I was like a 40-year-old baby with the inability to walk or talk or write or do anything that I'm doing right now. And through the process, I've had to learn everything over, and on top of learning a lot of stuff over, I also discovered some things that were happening to me I could not explain. So I frantically went online and was just very upset, couldn't sleep at night, very upset, and went looking for some answers on YouTube, and I found a lot of answers on YouTube.
Right.
Yeah, it really did help me try to piece all the puzzle together, and still now it's evolving to where I believe, anyway, I don't know how true it is for you, or that we're all evolving as people, as a species. And even though I have these abilities or these gifts now that were given to me, what I call God,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't make me any better or any worse than anyone else. It's just that I believe, as part of what's happening now, the messengers of the awakening is what I hear the term phrased. is that we are on the front lines of what's actually happening. And if you go online and with friends that I now that are emailing me on Facebook and saying, this really is happening. I was like, oh God, I'm glad I'm not alone. You know what I mean?
That's right. And it seems like we're gathering. Look how we're all meeting each other.
Yeah.
And we are giving safe places for each other to tell the story. And what I really am, and people, whenever my guests come in here and tell their experiences, this is no way saying that your experience should be that way. We are trying to emphasize that we are all having very unique experiences. And by sharing these, maybe you won't have the shock factor when yours start popping in. Maybe at least you'll have somebody to talk to. Maybe you'll hear this and go, oh, that's what's going on with me. And it's so exciting. And okay, so when you had your near death, did you go to the light? Did you have all that kind of stuff?
Oh, yes, it did happen. I saw the tunnel. I saw, some people refer to him as Jesus' side, the angelic beings or the angelic realm. I remember having a conversation right before a movie came out last year called Heaven is for Real. So I know how weird it sounds, okay? And I'm gonna speak my truth because it's absolutely true. I talk to them all the time. They're everywhere for me.
Yeah.
And so I was talking to them in the shower or in the bathroom, always around water.
Yes.
And right before that movie came out last year during Easter, I was like, I'm really looking forward to go seeing that movie. And they were like, oh, she was like, my sister on the other side now. She said, so what did you see? Do you remember what you see? I was like, well, I saw a man with blue and green and gray eyes. And then she was like, I said, it felt like love, and I forget what else she said. And she was like, what did heaven look like, Reuben? And I said, it looked like a rainbow. And I went to go see that the movie at the theater, and literally I had to hold back tears and point at the theater and at the movie and say, I am not crazy, thank God.
Oh.
Because everybody that has had this experience winds up saying the same thing in one variation or another. It's never deviated from this whole thing. And so, but when I came back, it was like I was here to remember what I forgot. And I was forced to learn absolutely everything over. And even though honestly, if I had to choose it, who in their right mind?
Now, when you were in that physical state where you had forgotten everything and you had to relearn everything, could you still remember what you had experienced, or was that coming back slowly as you healed?
Everything that started happening after I woke up. For instance, when I woke up, I saw this lady at the end of the bed holding my hand. And with broken words, I was like, are you my mother? And all I saw her do was cry. I didn't know where I was. I didn't know how to write. And then slowly it's come back. I had a flood of memories come back. And a lot of names came back. I lived here before in Louisiana now. I live back in Louisiana now. But I lived here before, and I woke up with I couldn't tell anybody. I know what was happening in the middle of the night. When everybody was asleep, my caretakers were asleep, I would start writing and didn't know why. And I was like, no, that's weird. How would I know to write this stuff? And so as it progressed, or as I started learning more, it was like the Carol Burnett show triggered a lot of memories. In Living Color triggered a lot of memories. So it's a movie or a scent or a smell, something that was kind of that I experienced before, But from what I understand about what actually happened to me, part of what is logical or what seems to have occurred is a walk-in stepped in. And I don't know what your feelings are about that. Do you believe in all that, Sheila?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. People that knew me before say I'm not the same at all. I can understand quantum physics. I can understand mathematical stuff. I'm like, how in the world is that happening? I ran into a lady that I knew before, and she was like, oh my God. I came down here when I was barely able to walk. She looked at me, she was like, oh, I was like, something happened to me. And I told her about everything. And she was like, oh, wow. And the writing, and it's just
And was the writing like messages that you had gotten or things that you remembered over there?
things that like what happened was I was very scared of what was happening to me. I was being flipped in bed, thrown out of bed, waking up with bruises, cold spots, chills, like and I know what was happening. So afraid, I went to my knees and I said, God, please help me understand what this is. And I promise to give the best of who I am back or out to the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happened, I mean, like a series of events started happening to where in the middle of the night I would wake up and write these things. And it's all on my blog, Reuben Garza blog, .wordpress.com.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at it. And it was just, I don't even know how to explain it. They call it channeling, though.
Right.
Messages, right. So, did I ever think this stuff was real? Did I ever think, even when I look at on TV before, I was watching The Ghost Whisperer, the series on Netflix, and
Right.
I remember it coming on when I was in my previous life, and I was like, I'm not going to watch that. That's hokey stuff. And lo and behold, I'm faced with all of it myself, and it's still every time I experience something like that, it's incredible. Just the other day, on the 15th, I had more confirmation, which is
just the 15th, just a couple of days ago.
Yeah, just a couple of days ago. It was with my neighbor.
Really? What happened?
Last year, at the end of the year, I don't know if this is okay to say, but last year, at the end of the year, I was talking to her. We were just talking outside, and I came back in to my apartment, and there they were. They always want to talk to me, and I said, I think something's going to happen to her. She's not going to make it. She's going to go soon. And I was like, my thing is probably at the end of the year. And I was like, when is that going to happen? And they told me no later than the 15th of January.
Oh.
And they said, close your eyes and tell me what you see. And I closed my eyes and I said, I saw this happening, and lo and behold, every bit of it happened right outside my door. And I just stood there thinking, okay, if that's not confirmation, if that's not good enough proof, and the whole thing with that is, I don't know if you've heard this, Sheila, but I cannot interfere with any of it. I couldn't tell her.
That's right. Okay. You're making a really good point, because and I use this word. I never thought I would use this word, but when the voice tells you, you obey.
Yes.
Without even thinking. It is a natural obey that I never knew before. I act immediately, without question.
Whether it's the middle of the night, whether it's I'm at a movie, or whether it's any time of day, there have been so many experiences to where it's like it's more than an urge. You just there's a knowing.
There is a knowing, and that is the key word, is the knowing. And you know what? Okay, as humans, we kind of go through a belief system, because we've got to. we're exploring ideas other than the ones we grew up with.
Yeah.
We want to know more, and it opens us up to ideas that because believe me, right now there's nothing about my life that I thought.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm living and surprise. Okay.
Yeah.
And I love it. And truly, I mean, that is part of this when your abilities start kicking in and you start working them. Yeah.
Some people I share that with, they were like, "Oh, that's cool." I'm like, "Yeah, well, it comes with a huge price. It comes with a huge responsibility. It comes with a huge toll in the middle of the night."
Yes.
If I'm at a movie, I walk out. When that is there, I stop the car. Even when I'm driving, when I get that urge, I stop the car to write. I stop everything I'm doing. A lot of times, I even went to the gym last year. I was in there for 5 minutes, walked out, had to go do it. It's a huge calling that I have. It's a huge thing that's happened to me, and I know that a lot of people are mystified or scared or afraid because I've been doing a lot of research about why this happens, and men and women think differently. Men think usually with their left side, women think with their right side, the creative side and logical side. So when the two hemispheres connect or are working harmonious or work together, when they work together,
right?
You will be able to pick up anything. I live only an hour away from New Orleans, and I like to go to New Orleans a lot. And even when I'm in the quarter, I see lights and geometric patterns. I see everything means something. It's the craziest thing. But for people that are willing to put labels on it so quickly and not give you the benefit of the doubt, if it's not happening to them, it's not happening. Right.
Yes.
It's an amazing thing, and I know there are a lot of symptoms, and you touched on something earlier that said that we're all experiencing different things. There are a slew of things. I can say that if they're depleting, right? Do they deplete you?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
when I travel out far, really far out into the stars, and I come back, I need to take a nap after that. And now you went through the near death to start this. I went through this volunteer healing thing because that's kind of my area, and I'm going to be doing a show very soon here that talks about why whenever you start into this healing thing or releasing or letting go, or you jet into that next level of this divine plan, get ready.
Get ready.
You're going to experience the deepest, darkest part of your life, because that is what is holding you back, is the darkness. And when the light comes in, that pushes the dark out. And here comes an episode that you're going to have to deal with. And, look how you had to do yours. And I tell you, I had heard that people had to go through these kind of episodes to get things kicked going. And I was like, okay, universe, I give. Let's just go ahead and do this without having to do that. Let's go ahead and do it. I'm sure they all got a real kick out of that, saying, oh, she has no idea what she just said.
What I want and what I get are obviously two different things. If I had, I wouldn't want. Honestly, who would? I was talking to somebody on Facebook, and I was like, it takes a lot of personal strength to say, okay, well, this is my stuff. and it takes a lot of personal strength to even cry about it, wail about it if you have to. The key to it, what I tell people is to find somebody that you trust, somebody that's not going to judge you, that'll hold a sacred space for you, and just let you get mad or whatever you need to do and process it out. And you're absolutely right. Once that starts happening, look, everything starts to seem and feel a lot lighter, and it's the whole grieving or shame thing that comes associated with mistakes or stuff,
Yes. And another thing that I noticed with peeps who have started this awakening, there is a compassion that it comes from within. It's all already in there. We're just trying to pull the chunks off. Yeah. There's a compassion that comes out that I noticed right away with you that you just can't help, because you understand now. You understand where peeps are coming from. And you know what? They've got to take their steps just like everybody else. Everybody has got their next step. And I think once we start awakening, some of those abilities allow us to be able to see what their next step is. And that's how we're helpful.
It's almost like I cannot interfere unless you ask me for help. I have no interference thing like Star Trek unless you ask me, unless I ask you. Right. I can't do it.
Okay, and isn't that exactly part of the freedom of being at this understanding, at this level of understanding, that you do not have to get involved unless you're asked.
Right.
That's freedom.
But sometimes, like with my neighbor, and there was a maintenance guy here, and I said the same thing about him. And look, the first one I had was when I was living in Colorado. I was living there, and I went to just feeling some weird stuff. I didn't know what it was, and I kept looking out the door and saying, something out there. So I was like, no, it's my imagination. I'm going to go watch a movie. And just forget about it. I went to that theater where they had a theater shooting. I was there that day that it happened. I went in and I saw some things. I repeat here. I was like, no, it's my imagination. My stomach started buckling over. I had to walk out, and I went home and found blood in my. I know. My stomach was so upset, and then that one really did hurt.
Yes.
It's like that's when I said, "What's happened to me? What's happening to me?"
Right. Well, I used to be able to be in crowds. I did Bloomsday here for 8 years in a row, where I was in the middle of 60,000 people, and I loved it. And now I can barely make it through the grocery store. For some reason, the grocery store has got really low vibration. Have you ever noticed that? People in there seem to be like zombied. Have you ever noticed that?
I have, especially around the holidays.
Oh, God. Yes.
Especially around the holidays. And what's odd about this is that even though I have my own personal spirit guides or angels, whatever you want to call them, during stressful times like the holidays, or say somebody's grieving a death of somebody, and they're in the store, and there they are, and I can't say a word.
Yep.
I don't have permission to say. It's not like I have the right to do something like that. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. People have come into my construct, which is sort of my office within that, for healings and stuff, and it's very personal. Very personal. I mean, what we're talking about right now is very personal.
Yeah.
And Reuben, with people seeing you being able to have the courage to speak out like this, maybe they'll come, maybe they'll see you as a safe place now. And, God bless you, as they are me, they come out and people are so hungry for a safe place.
Yes.
And what better gift can we give back to the world than
God bless us all as we're all going to be transitioning into this new realm of consciousness, a new way of living, of caring, of being. It's almost like what I tell people, because it does deplete the soul, my body, or whatever. Is to go to the doctor if you have the means to make sure that your blood levels are well, or that they're within the normal serum levels that they're supposed to be in, and make sure you work with your doctor to try to balance that out if you can. Alternative stuff like meditation or even the gym helps me. Meditation helps me.
Mm-hmm.
My first. When there were overwhelming feelings, right? You can imagine, right? And all I wanted to do was scream and holler and stuff. And once you process that out, it almost opens up a whole different, maybe they call it the fifth dimension state or something of existence.
Right. It takes you on to the next level. As soon as you can let that go, or it's like the cogs are turning. As soon as they get just right, there you are. You're at that next level. And again, there's sort of that. I know for me, every time I go to that next level, it's almost like starting over.
Yes.
Because now all of a sudden, everything that I thought at that other level is, I'm not so sure anymore. It's very interesting. I always know when I've just shot up to the next level, because I don't believe anything that I believed before.
That's absolutely true. I'm wondering, have you noticed, like, are you sensitive to energy too? Are you sensitive to people's energy? Yeah. And I look at somebody and I was like, I know that they're not being forthright or honest with. I'm like, okay, and just smile and say, okay.
That's right. I had some training for that too, because I was shown for one full day, if somebody was talking to me with gossip or hearsay, it sounded like their voice was going like this. But if they were telling me their experience, there was a melody to the story.
Mm-hmm.
I could feel the truth in it.
Yes.
And so for a whole day, I that was how Spirit trained me. And they said, now whenever you hear this, you don't have to give it too much, because it's just gossip or hearsay, and you don't have to get involved, or
right.
Just know the difference.
What I say now is like, I'm on my own little quest. I have no right to judge anybody. That's their thing. I'm doing my thing. You know what? As long as you're not hurting anybody, as long as you're not causing harm to another person, there's no harm in being different at all. None.
Right. Now, what do you say? What do you think's coming in our future? Do you have any idea? Do you feel anything coming? Do you have any insights?
Yeah, there is a lot. I say this a lot on several different pages. The world is fixing to change much more than what we ever thought. I think we're going to make contact with ETs. They're finally going to come down, or it's going to be a global thing to where we can't deny the truth. Just like what's happening with us, we can't deny our truth anymore.
That's right.
And people are going to look at this and say, oh my God, well, you watch. If it's not our lifetime, it's going to happen. How can we be the only people in the whole universe, the only sentient life, the only planet? Come on.
Right.
So I see that happening. I also see, because of the polar shifts, there's going to be a lot more probably destruction, especially in coastal areas. There was a vision I had last year of water being over a coast. I'm not sure what it was. No, I don't see a region or specifics to that extent, but it's almost like, oh, here's the buildings and the water level's way up here.
Wow.
So,
and we all know the kind of predicted stories of that. I mean,
like 2012 or something.
Well, not dates per se, but everyone has heard that our coasts are going to flood.
Oh yeah, I was like, is that true? So when I saw that, I looked it up online, and I was like, oh wow, maybe that is true. Yeah. Maybe those visions are correct. Back last year, when I was like, you have to help me, you have to give me some validation. So there's just too much going on right now, and in order to center myself, they gave me. Like I even said, Joe Cocker was going to die. They even told me Joe Cocker was going to die before Christmas.
Wow.
It's just over and over again. It's pretty amazing that's so right on. The other thing that I think Hillary's going to be president. I really do.
Really?
Yes, I do.
Oh boy.
I'm kind of interested to see what's going to happen with that. But as you know, the age that we're in now, it's more the age of Aquarius coming in now, and so with our paradigm shift, it's almost like we need a female presence in the White House or as a leader to calm all this stuff going on. You know what I mean? I don't want to say anything bad, but to kind of just bring a new energy into where it's more. It's okay, and it's more of a mother type, comforting. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And
it's the era of the goddess, and all of us are waking up.
All of us are, and even for guys or even for men, I know that it's kind of taboo, especially for men, to talk about this stuff,
right.
or to even talk about feelings or anything like that. And what's happening?
Oh, I think we're at the end of our show.
Oh, there you go.
Wow, that happened fast. Well, listen, Ruben.
I really enjoyed our talk. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. It is so wonderful to keep meeting people who, are awakening and willing to share. And, it really starts to define divine team, because we are on the same team.
Yes, we're supposed to be, right? We are.
We are. And as long as we know that and we keep it up and set the example, then we're doing the best we can.
Oh, that's something else I was going to tell you too. Hopefully, maybe in the next, if there's a next thing we can talk about, like people that were on the front lines to set the example, but it's not easy.
No, it's not. No, it is not. It's never easy for frontliners.
Because of the criticism, because of the naysayers, because of all the hate, because of all the... Look, it happens. It's happening. You can't deny it.
Right. So. All right, peeps. I'm sorry we got to go, but I hope you've enjoyed this show as much as I have. Thank you so much, Ruben.
Thank you so much, Sheila.
We'll see you again. And so, peeps, from my heart to yours, namaste.
Namaste.